Bowens from Body by Bowens Personal Training Systems. Today we're going to talk about the spiral line. Okay, so the spiral line, as you might guess, is involved a lot of rotational exercises, right? So it kind of wraps around really from the back of the neck, okay, around through the back, through the shoulder, to the hip, okay, and right down the leg. So anytime we are rotating kind of from one side to the other side this way, okay, you can rotate downward, right? You can imagine that the foot, the knee, the hip, okay, the spine, and the shoulders are all connected in a particular fashion. Okay, so anytime we're getting that rotation, we're really focusing on that spiral line fascia and musculature. All right, so just like all the other videos, we're gonna break this superset up into 3 parts. Okay, starting with activation, then moving on to some strengthening, and then finally some lengthening movements. So to get started, we're going to use the Viper for some rotational, some spiral line activation. Alright, so I'm going to use my Viper. A lot of times people use cables or elastic tubing. You can use a dumbbell as well for this exercise. But we're essentially going to do a rotational lift from a half kneeling stance. Okay, so when I'm half kneeling, one of my knees is down, the other leg is forward. Okay, I go a little bit more than 90 degrees, so about 90 degrees, a little bit more in that front knee. Okay, that's going to be the ankle there. And I'm going to grab the neutral grip handles in my Viper. I'm going to start the side away from the front leg, and in a diagonal pattern, I'm going to lift, bring that over the opposite shoulder, and back down. Here, reach, and back. Here, and back. Okay, so I'm transitioning my weight from right across my body in that rotational fashion, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to go about 8 times. And I'm going to go to the other side. Same idea. Knees about 90 degrees. Here and back. Okay, so that's my activation there with the Viper, 8 each side. Next, I'm going to do some strengthening. Okay, I'm going to use a kettlebell for the strengthening. And this is actually going to be broken up into 3 different parts. Right? I'm going to have what's called a halo. I'm going to have what's called an anterior rotational step, and then a posterior rotational step. Okay, so if I pick up my kettlebell, it's going to be upside down. Okay, I'm going to be doing a halo to my left to start. So I'm going to squeeze, hold on to those handles very tight, so that kettlebell's nice and stable in my hands. I'm going to bring it around the head. Okay, so if I go to my left, then my left leg will come forward, and I'll rotate. When I come back, coming back the other way, and now I'm going to do a posterior rotational step. So I'm going to open up, load the back leg, rotate that direction, and come back. Okay, so all together, from here, anterior rotation, here, posterior rotation. Good. So that's 6 on one side. Now I'm going to start off by going to the right. And that's going to be that rotational strength exercise. Okay, so I did about 6 each side. Lastly, I'm going to do some lengthening using my Viper. Grab my Viper again. I'm going to cross my leg behind the other here, and then I'm going to tilt my Viper towards that back leg. Tilting here, I'm allowing my hip to fall out the opposite way. Come back up. Here. And switch sides, so about 8 each side. There we go. That's a nice solid spiral line superset there. Okay, just to recap, I'm starting off using the Viper in a half kneeling stance for activation. Here, starting away from the front leg, about 90 degrees, a little bit more on the front leg, bringing it up, across, rotate, on the back. Okay, about 8 times each side. Next, we're breaking it up into 3 parts. Remember, we got a halo, the anterior rotation, and the posterior rotational step. So halo, if I start to my left, go to the left, and then my left foot's coming forward for the anterior rotation. I'm going to come back, and my right leg is going to go to the posterior rotation. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to the left. So that's going to be one sequence, and of course you have to do the other side. So we're going to start to the right for the other side. Right leg's coming forward for the anterior rotation. We'll come back and around, and now it's the left foot for that posterior rotation. Okay, we have about 6 times each side there. And then we're finishing up with the Viper tilt series for some lengthening, where the Viper is going to be lined up with the middle of the body. I'm going to cross one of my legs behind the other, and then I'm tilting the Viper towards that leg, that back leg, and allowing my hip to drop to the outside away from the Viper, and I'll come back up. Okay, and again, I'll go 8 times each side there. All right, so give it a shot. Okay, you can always use different weight implements. You can use a dumbbell instead of the kettlebell. Okay, you hold a dumbbell sideways. You could even go body weight. Okay, and just imagine that you're holding onto something going around the head. All right, whichever stage you're at, try that out. Great exercise. Okay, great superset, and let me know what you think. Until next time, thanks for joining, and I'll see you in the next video.